All right, it's game week is here. So who are we predicting and who's going to bust out in this game?
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back into Locked On Bama. Luke Robinson with the HSA Radio Network. That's me. And Jimmy Stein with Bama Online. That's him. This episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Not 4 hours. That'd be crazy. 5 Hour Energy. And we'll talk about 5 Hour Energy here in just a little bit. Want to thank our everydayers.
I'm surprised you ever need it. You say you use it.
I do. Right now, it looks like I don't need it. I'm going to need it later on when I'm coaching my little girl soccer team. I promise you. I'm also going to need something a lot stronger after that. So anyway, Jimmy, it is
5 Hour bourbon.
It is here. It is here. It's tangible. I can feel it. Tonight we got some good games. And, well, okay, I'm stretching it. We got Minnesota and North Carolina tonight. But I'm going to watch it. That's what kind of fool I am. So I'm sure all y'all are going to watch it, but I think we want to stay focused on Bama here just for a second. We'll get to some national stuff. But who do you think has a big breakout game here this Saturday?
Yeah, I got two names. I'm going to start with the fun one, and I don't know that he's going to have a breakout game statistically where we're like, wow, look at those stats, unbelievable first game. But I think Ryan Williams, we got to go with Ryan because this has been a Ryan Williams podcast pretty much for the past year plus. And then Ryan's first game at Alabama, I think he makes a big play. Now, that might be a catch and run for 50, 60 yards. It might be a touchdown catch from Jalen Milroe. It might be a punt return. We know he's gotten some work at punt return in practice. But I think Ryan Williams makes a big play that justifies the fact that we've pretty much dedicated the show to Ryan for a year. So I think Ryan will do that. Secondly, in terms of an actual breakout performance, and by that I mean a guy who has not been a significant player at Alabama, has a huge game statistically. To me, it's Justice Haynes at running back, partly because Justice is a great player, and we're all going to find that out Saturday. But secondly, I think the injury to Jam Miller has, Jam's going to play. He's not injured and can't play, but he's missed a lot of practice. And when that happens, the other guy gets a lot of reps in practice. So I think Justice Haynes probably carries a heavier load for Saturday than he normally would. I think most of the year, Justice and Jam are going to be kind of splitting duties at running back nearly evenly. But because Jam has missed so much practice and is bumped up, banged up, I think Justice Haynes carries a bigger load than normal. And if Justice gets 20 carries against a Western Kentucky, he could truly have a big night. So Justice Haynes statistically, but Ryan Williams makes a big play, and we'll be buzzing about Ryan all next week.
I'm with you on that. In fact, I'll go so far as say is like if there is a prop bet out there on FanDuel or wherever, I would take it for Ryan Williams to score a touchdown. Wouldn't you?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I tend to look at those scrimmages, and of course, we didn't get to attend a scrimmage. Sometimes I get to with Red Elephant. They didn't do that this year, and I wouldn't talk about it if I did. But point is, I didn't see a scrimmage this fall, and I've only gotten reports from various sources. But the fact is, Ryan was a significant player in both scrimmages, and that's a great way to get sort of a taste of what's going to happen in the games. Ryan had a big play in each scrimmage, so I think he's just, it could be a touchdown. I think he's going to play a lot too. I don't know when the starters come out, Luke, for the first snap on offense. We'll send 3 receivers out there most likely. I'm going to predict that it's not Ryan. I think the 3 wide receivers we'll start the game with will be Kendrick Law, Kobe Prentice at the slot, and of course Jeremy Bernard, who I think will end up being the number 1 receiver all year long. I think those 3 will be the starters. But who's going to play the most snaps in the game at wide receiver? I think Jeremy and Ryan, number 2. Oh, you muted. You muted on the first prediction show of the year.
Oh, Jesus. That was the easiest prediction on the whole thing.
I should have started the predictions with Major Luke on mute moment.
That's on FanDuel. All right. So look, everybody knows Zabian Brown, Jalen Mbakwe, Zay Mincy. My guy who busts out onto the scene and that has the casuals buzzing, guys who have been following practice probably already know. If you don't know, you better ask somebody. Red Morgan. That's who I think does something to stir the masses. That's what I think. Now, I mean, what? I'm not going to predict a pick six. I'm going to say a pick six, a scoop and score, a huge hit, a big time breakup, a something that a big tackle on special teams, whatever it is. I think when we are doing our post game show, we say, "Hey, what about that Red Morgan?"
Well, I like it. Red was spectacular this spring. It'll be interesting to see how much he plays. And and by that I mean he's going to play a lot because he's no worse than a 2, at Husky, and the 2 should play quite a bit this weekend, right? You hope you get a big lead. I think Kalen DeBoer and his staff are going to intentionally play more players during the course of a game than Nick Saban did. I'm expecting to see more players. That means Red's going to play. But I'll tell you what, I think, Devontae Smith is the projected starter at that Husky position, but Red has been on his heels all of fall camp. Red gets significant snaps with the ones all the time in practice. And, Devontae's been there 4 years and Red just showed up. So based on momentum, I wouldn't rule out Red sort of maybe becoming the starter at Husky over the course of the season. But that'll be an interesting position to watch. It's sort of new. It's not new to have a nickel corner. Saban had a nickel corner too, but I think in this Kane Womack defense, that nickel corner plays a different role, and they're expecting different things out of that position than we got out of the Nick Saban nickel corners. And of course, Nick called that position star. Womack calls it Husky.
Our girl Goat Leah, I believe, is that what we're going with, or not?
Tia. Tia is her. Well, I just call her Tia.
But I thought it was Goatlia on Twitter. Is it not?
It's Goat Tia.
Goatia. Okay.
Goat, like she's the greatest of all time, but her name is Tia.
Oh, I thought there was an L in there somewhere.
There might be, but anyway, it's Tia.
Knowing her, it should be a W because she's always winning.
She's one of the great social media posters in the Alabama fandom. And she's great. So what did she do now?
Wait a minute, I got to think about it. I forgot. Oh, I forgot why I brought her up. I was just, admiring her Twitter handle. I brought her up because I think she said she expects Devontae Smith to have a big game. I think I saw that the other day, and I thought, that's a good call. And I said, but, I'm going to take it a step further and go Devontae's backup is the one that stirs the masses.
When we say backup, I wouldn't be surprised, Luke, if that ended up being a similar situation like we talked about at running back with a 1A and a 1B. I think Red's going to play a lot, and he's had a remarkable true freshman spring and fall camp, no doubt about it. And Tia's a good one to ask. She's rarely wrong. She knows her stuff.
All right, we're going to get into a little bit more specifics about this game and have a score prediction in the next segment. Ooh, woo, I love me some 5-hour energy, though. I always have. I always will. It is helpful to me. I don't need it most of the time, but when I need it, it's there for me, like a warm blanket. I love it. Look, if you're tired after lunch like I am, I've gotten to the age where I take some naps at lunch. Swear, not kidding, at my grandmama's old house. And so I have to have something to sort of pick me up so I can go back to the office, right? 5-hour energy will help that. Research shows that more than 70% of us hit the wall after lunch. Let a 5-hour energy shot help you leap over that wall. 5-hour energy fixes tired fast, whether you have a long list to do for work or you have a long list of honeydew to tackle at home. 5-hour energy will help you do it. Grab a 5-hour energy this weekend when you're watching all these bomb football games so you can stay up and watch them all. That's what I'm going to have to do because Bama kicks off at, then the evening, and I'm not an evening guy. 5-hour energy shots give you the feeling of alertness and energy you need to get in the zone. They don't make you feel jittery. I'm telling you right now, I have used these a lot. 0 sugar and a convenient portable size. You can get them at any convenience store you want to, but you can also get them in a 12-pack or a 24-pack. And what I'd like you to really do is go to 5hourenergy.com. That's the number 5, and then energy.com, and get some 5-hour energy product today. You can use my promo code, which is locked on CFB, to receive 20% off your order. Look, I'm telling you, it's the way to go. And it's easy, it's convenient, and this code's going to help you save some money. And then you're going to be alert all weekend, baby. Thank me later, okay? I hate when I do these live reads and I think I've like signed off pretty well, and then I can't find the thing to like signify that the live read's over, and it's just me and you staring into the camera for a minute. It's not good. Oh, I got something to talk to you about after the show. Don't let me forget. It's not about Alabama, people. I just had to tell Jimmy this is stuff we actually do. This is like a Jimmy and me phone call. Okay, so the game itself, Jimmy. Let me give you some quick over-unders that I'm going to make up out of thin air.
Sure.
Over under Jalen Milroe passing yards 250.
Under.
Over under Jalen Milroe rushing yards 75.
Under.
Gosh. Over under Jalen Milroe passing touchdowns 2.5.
Over.
Over under Jalen Milroe rushing touchdowns 1.
If I got to go over, I think 1's the right number. If I have to go somewhere, I'll go over.
Okay. Over under Justice Haynes total touchdowns 1.5.
Over.
I'm with you on that. I thought I was going to get you.
That's a fast.
I was going to get you.
I like Haynes with I'll be specific. I like Justice Haynes to rush for 160 and 2 scores.
Over under number of minutes Ty Simpson plays 12.
Minutes Ty Simpson plays. So I'll say Ty Simpson's in on the 3rd series of the second half and plays into the 4th quarter with about 5 minutes left. And then we see, frankly, some mystery. Either Austin Mack or Dylan Lonergan. I would put money on Lonergan because he's been here. But I also, at the same token, I'm like, Austin Mack is their guy. And at practice, at times, it has looked to me like Austin Mack is more of the 3rd guy than Dylan Lonergan. I think they like both, but like we've gone over in the past, I don't want to do a whole segment on it, but I think they sort of look at the quarterbacks in 2 waves. Like they're thrilled with Jalen Milroe. They'd be really confident in Ty Simpson if he had to came in. They like Lonergan and Mack, but they're more, we like them down the road. I don't know that either one is ready for prime time, but there's a good chance that that Mack or Lonergan gets a series or 2. But yeah, I like Ty to play most of the second half.
All right, here's a prop bet and I'm with you on that. And see, that's why I chose 12 minutes. I didn't want to go a whole quarter because I'm thinking like you, like, okay, if the score is what I think it's going to be, and I'll tell you in a minute, then I think he will get in about midway through the 3rd and play a little into the 4th. And then I think, okay, we got to put somebody else in, and let him get some minutes. Because here's one more thing. People may not have even noticed this. We should have spent 2 segments on this the other day, but it's game week, so we did have time. Now the red shirt rule has been rearranged. You can play 4 games and play your conference championship game, the bowl game, the playoffs, and it not count. I think in theory you can play a total of 9 games if everything plays out just exactly right and still get redshirted. That's amazing. And it's who it benefits is teams like Alabama.
Right. Oh, there's no question that's true. Yeah. Any team that ends up playing multiple postseason games, this really benefits. Yes, your play in postseason does not count insofar as redshirting any longer. Technically, that means you could play in 4 games of the regular season, the entirety of the postseason, get all the way to the championship game, and you'll have actually played in a majority of your team's games and still be able to redshirt, which is sort of crazy, but welcome to 2024. It's all crazy now. Like I said, how about a crazy prediction I had this morning? I know we're about to do predictions, but I said this morning on BOL, Luke, that someone is going to lose this weekend and still make the college football playoff. And
wait a minute. Don't say that because we're going to do other teams in the next segment. But here's one more over-under kind of prop betty thing, and then we'll get to our score predictions for the Alabama game. Over-under one, let's say, I'm going to say over-under 2. I'm going to make it 2. Touchdowns plus interceptions or fumbles recovered by freshmen. The over-under is 2. So what I mean is if Ryan Williams gets a touchdown and Zay Mincy gets a pick, that you've hit the number. So are you going to go over that or under that?
And you're setting it at 2?
I'm going to set it at 2.5. I think 2.5 is better.
Under.
Really?
Under, even though, I've already said Ryan's going to make a big play. You said Ryan would make a touchdown, but as for another freshman scoring, now it could happen late. This could be one of those games where there's freshmen all over the field in the fourth quarter, and one of them play. And I'll still go under. I think I've been overly too optimistic about all of it. Obviously, I expect Western Kentucky to win, and we'll get very specific about our Western Kentucky game prediction shortly. But I've probably been just a little too over on all of your numbers.
You've been under on most of them.
Have I? Well, I'm trying to hit the brakes. I woke up ready to drive 100 miles an hour on these predictions. I'm hitting the brakes.
I think the smart money would be on the under 2.5 too. 2 is probably the better number, but I think 2.5 forces you to go to one way or the other. And the Bama in me is just like, look, when I was in college specifically, no matter what, we had Gene Stallings offenses, and we'd beat people 17-3, and it was a blowout. And I would still take the over every time. I'd be like, oh, this is the week. We're busting out. Bergdorf's coming in. We're busting out, baby.
You said it,
and I was so wrong.
You said for 7 years, you're like, this is the game. We score 30 points.
Any day now. Grandpa Gene Stallings is going to take that jacket off, and we're going to lay the wood.
That whole era was 2 things. The Stallings era was A, fantastic, and B, would have driven the modern social media world crazy. They would have been wanting to fire that guy every week. He would have been the most unpopular social media coach of all time because of how the fans are, particularly when it comes to scoring. But I'll say that, and that whole era was fantastic because it still needs to be about winning and losing the football games. And he averaged 10 wins a year when winning 10 was a big thing.
Give me your game prediction, Jimmy.
Game prediction. I like Alabama to win 52-13 on Saturday. I think there will be a lot of explosive plays on offense, a couple of long home runs maybe by Justice Haynes. I think Milroe plays really well. I tend to think it might be more efficient than a massive numbers thing. I don't think that Jalen's going to have a PlayStation game, where he throws for 380 and rushes for 100, though he's certainly capable of those things. But I think what DeBoer and Nick Sheridan are looking for out of Jalen Milroe Saturday is some efficiency. I'll tell you the numbers I'm looking at, Luke, with Jalen is how about fewer incompletions than touchdown passes? I'm talking about that level of efficiency. I'm talking about being 18 for 21 or 20 for 22 even. Just be super efficient. Another number I'm looking at is sacks. Alabama gave up over 40 sacks a year ago. Washington only gave up like 10, won the Joe Moore Award. I think no sacks or 1 sack or less would be a tremendous step in the right direction, because for this offense to be what it needs to be and become a Kalen DeBoer offense, there needs to be fewer sacks. And it's Western Kentucky. It's not Wisconsin or Georgia. Giving up a bunch of sacks Saturday would be a really bad sign. So I'm looking at no sacks, efficiency from Milroe, not PlayStation numbers that win him National Player of the Week and stuff like that.
And what's your final score again?
52-13.
52-13. Okay. I'm going to go 56-17. I think that Alabama does give up some passing touchdowns. Say what you want to about TJ Finley. He's not great, but he's been playing a long time. Now, you say, well, DJ Uiagalelei has too, and what he looked like against Georgia Tech. Well, he really wasn't the problem. He's not a great quarterback. The problem is we thought he was a great quarterback, and he's not. he is what he is. And I think TJ Finley is too. And TJ Finley will hit some passes because he is very experienced and older, but he's not great and he's not going to beat us. So I feel like our young defensive backs probably take some gambles trying to make a name for themselves because that's what you do when you're young. And we get toasted a couple of times, but I think that it's always out of reach. I feel like Alabama wins 56-17. Feel very good about this game. That would actually cover. So, take it to the bank, y'all.
We both have Alabama covering the 30-point line. And I think we both have Alabama well over on the over-under number too, which I think is 60.
Yeah, I think that's right. So I feel good about the over for sure. All right, we're going to do some national stuff here in just a second. As it stands, though, I want to tell you about FanDuel because they're the absolute best. I mean, I've talked about FanDuel just in the show. Just sometimes you just talk about something without even knowing you're talking about it. You've heard us talk about FanDuel, like even today, America's number one sports book. Well, we have something a little different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then, with a YouTube base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out of market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment. That's good. And you can cancel it anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to visit, of course, America's number one sports book. Then there's Factor. Man, love me some Factor. What a great sponsor. We really appreciate them. Fuel up with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Meet your wellness goals thanks to the menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, or Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. Make today the day you kickstart, a new healthy routine. What are you waiting for? With 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week, you'll always have new flavors to explore. Treat yourself to restaurant-quality meals that feature premium ingredients like filet mignon, shrimp, and blackened salmon. Head to factormeals.com/LockedOnCollege50. That's factormeals.com/LockedOnCollege50 and use code LockedOnCollege50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off next month. That's code Locked On College 50, Locked On College 50, Locked On College 50 at factormeals.com/Locked On College 50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. All right, national scene, Jimmy. We won't go down every game because not every game is important, but I do want to tackle some of the fun ones that I think are fun, and we got to go rather quickly. But Florida, Miami. Let me tell you something, Jimmy. If outside of Alabama, if you said, Luke, that you only watch one game, that might be it for me. That game has the most on the line, not from a national title perspective, from a who's going to be unemployed perspective.
It's a loser leaves town match. I agree. Yeah. Whoever loses this game, the fans of that team are going to want the coach fired, and they don't want to wait till the end of the year. I mean, because that's how they are. They're going to want their pound of flesh. So it is huge in that way. I don't like Florida to have a great year because the schedule's too tough, but I think Florida starts off with a win here. I like Florida at home. If Miami wins, it's a statement. I think a statement. I'd pencil Miami in as ACC champ if they win this game. That's how big I think it is. I'm with Luke. This is probably the game of the weekend, but I like Florida at home close.
I'm with you. You're copying my paper. I'm with you. I don't know why. I should have no belief in Florida. The only reason I have belief in Florida is because nobody has belief in Florida. That's it.
Mertz is a good player. He's under-regarded, Graham Mertz.
Yeah, he's not bad. And again, it's not like Florida is devoid of talent. They have talent. And it's in the swamp. And look, I still can't get – I know Anthony Richardson's not back there anymore, but I can't get out of my head, when Utah went in there, and Utah was a much better team, and Florida won. Now, they won, last second sort of crazy stuff, but they still won. So I'm going to pick Florida. I'm also going just SEC over ACC here because I just want to kind of tick off Danny Cannell. So then there's Clemson and Georgia. I'm going to say this. I'll start here. I think Georgia wins. I think Clemson covers. I think it's close. I really do. I feel like Dabo is going to use this game to try and re-energize his program. It wouldn't shock me if Clemson has a shot to win this in the fourth quarter.
I'm with you. I don't rule out anything here. I don't rule out not so much a Clemson resurgence, but a Clemson reminder that it's still Dabo. You know, these are the two winningest coaches in college football right here.
Yeah.
Multiple national championships apiece. I mean, in that sense, it is a great matchup. Cade Klubnik in year 2, not year 1. A Clemson win is absolutely not going to shock me, but Georgia's going to win this game. Georgia has more good players than Clemson. I mean, that's such an easy analysis, but it's why Georgia will win the game. Georgia over Clemson. And gosh, Georgia blowing them out wouldn't surprise me either. The way they blew out Oregon in the opener 2 years ago.
You know, that's the good rule of thumb. Whoever has the most best players, if you're just taking a money line stance at it. But this if you look at, I think it was 24/7 did their rankings of the rosters in terms of recruiting numbers. Clemson's 5, Georgia's 2, Bama's 1. But see, it also, what it doesn't take into account is where those numbers fall into place. I mean, Carson Beck is going to be number 1 pick in the draft, according to a lot of people. Cade Klubnik might be drafted eventually. I mean, there's a difference.
Sure. I'm picking Georgia to win, and I'm pretty confident. I'm just saying I don't rule out Clemson winning this game.
I'm with you.
I know a lot of Alabama fans or SEC fans are like, oh, Georgia's the best team in the country, and Clemson's not what they used to be, and this isn't going to be close. I get that. It's not an unreasonable take. Georgia's got more good players than Clemson. I have a hard time believing that Dabo is sort of feels a little bit like Clemson might remind people that, hey, we're here, very elite not too long ago.
Yep. All right. Speeding these up, Texas A&M, Notre Dame. I think Texas A&M may blow them out of the water.
Wow.
Call me crazy.
That's crazy to me. I don't know that A&M will blow them out, but I do like A&M to win. I think A&M wins this game at home. I think it's really tight. I think this is one of the best games of the weekend, too. I like A&M barely pulling it out under the underrated Connor Wigman. But how about this? A&M beats Clemson. A&M beats Notre Dame, but Notre Dame makes the playoff.
Oh, interesting. All right, and then of course LSU and USC. Look again. I'm beginning to think USC is going to win this game, and that's just flat stupid. That's stupid. But I really think that might happen.
It could. How about how mirror images these two are? Both replacing Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks. Both teams miserably bad on defense a year ago and have new defensive coordinators. Both teams with new quarterback starters who have played and have looked good when they've been given the chance. Garrett Nussmeier at LSU, Miller Moss at USC. I think this is going to be an exciting, fun, we love college football type game Sunday night. But LSU and Brian Kelly, a better coach than Lincoln Riley, by the way. Brian Kelly outcoaches Lincoln Riley down the stretch. LSU finds a way and wins the game. It's going to be tight. It's going to be good. A lot of good players on the field, but LSU and Nussmeier win.
All right. That's going to do it for this episode of Locked On Bama. Go check out Locked On College Football, man. They got it going on, and my man Spence does an amazing job, so you want to hear more from him. We probably won't have a show tomorrow. We just got so much going on. I got to do the scoreboard show tomorrow night. We will have a post-game show, and who knows what else we'll do because we're crazy. So we'll be back. Until next time, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.